Brian Lyle, though, was being cautious, trying to conserve the car for a national round the following week. So at this stage, he was lying behind Horn by 15 seconds.
Andy Horn is currently beating us, although we believe there's a jump start in the last start, 4 or 5 seconds, so he may get penalised, I don't know. But he was a second quicker in the last stage anyway, so other than that, it's good.
Horn, meanwhile, was going well, although he found the surface a little tricky at times.
Are quite slippery, but we're getting a good bit of support from Michelin tyres, so it's all helping the cause.
Sandy Delgado had made a bad choice of tyres, and he was paying the price.
Well, we've had a mixed morning. I put the wrong compound of tyres on, too soft, and I thought it was different things that was wrong with the car, but it was just a compound. For the last stage, we went on to a harder compound. Beautiful.
Neil Duggan was holding on to third place and was pushing the car hard, but he simply couldn't get more out of it.
After 3 stages we're in third place, but we could really do with being a little bit higher than that. We had an engine problem at the end of the first stage, which carried on through the second stage, which means we've dropped a little bit of time. We've caught some of that back in the last stage. I really don't think there's enough mileage left now for us to go ahead, but Andy Horn and Brian are going very, very quickly today.
Jimmy Pattison had been working hard all day, coping with his steadily disappearing brakes, but it certainly entertained the crowds and the photographers.
Certainly it's been a bit entertaining. It seems as though every time I come in front of a camera I've got an excuse of some sorts for not putting in good times, but today unfortunately we've had some major problems with the brakes, and it's been quite terrifying at times, appearing at corners and finding you've got no brakes. It seems to be there's a problem with the master cylinder, and which is the main part of the braking system, and the service crew have worked hard, they've changed that, and now it appears we've got the wrong type in, so the car keeps braking only in the rear brakes. We've got nothing but rear brakes, so it leaves for some quite silly moments inside the car when you're trying to slow up. So.
And this was one of those silly moments. He recovers well. So let's watch the action from inside Jimmy's Subaru. pushed aside this sign as he was lying well inside the top 10. But a time-consuming puncture for Gordon Smith, and he stops to change the wheel. And that allows Steve Petch to pass in his Subaru. Alan Dixon thought he'd had a trouble-free run until someone pointed out that he'd driven for miles on a puncture. Phil Walker, meanwhile, had invested in puncture-proof tyres, and it had been worthwhile. Alan Barr was still there, and still having fun, in spite of a slipping clutch. Things were going well in the Glentrool Forest for George MacDonald. But in the next stage at Clatteringshaws, he was in trouble with a leaking radiator. And he was being caught by Ian Archer in a misfiring Audi. And further down the field, the competition was intense in the long stages in the Galloway Forest Park. Stuart McLaren's overheating problems were getting worse. The engine was cooking. Brian Lyle pulled out all the stops here at the Forest of A, the final and longest stage at almost 19 miles. And it was here he clinched victory for the 5th successive rally, but only after the retirement of Andy Horn. He lost the car's spoiler after missing a 90-degree bend. Then the gearbox stuck in gear, and to cap it all, the car caught fire at the end of the stage. Sandy Delgado enjoyed himself, and he was rewarded with 3rd place. Neil Duggan came close to rolling out and almost lost it again seconds later, but still a great runner-up finish. By the last stage, Jimmy Patterson had sorted out his brakes and climbed back to finish a fine 4th overall. And putting his problems behind him, Gordon Smith. Duncan Jaffrey pressed on to the end with a 6th place. And just behind him, Alan Dixon. A good result in 8th place for Group N entrant, Malach Nicol. And 5th overall for Jim Carty in the Metro. Flamboyant to the finish, Donald Smith. Rory Christie went wide here, just outside the top 10. And the best result so far this season for Stuart McLaren, and his first finish in the Scottish. For Brian Lyle, it all went according to plan.
The plan was, well, one, finish the thing, get some points. I told Neil, when he told me that he was going to beat me, and I said, well, it's fine. I really don't mind. If I got points for 2nd or 3rd, I would have been happy. But because we were pacing ourselves and we weren't taking any risks and we weren't having any moments, and I knew that the car would be good in the last stage, so I told John Fife that, you know, basically we would sort him out in the last stage, and we did. So there you go.
It's a piece of wire and a fork.